the answer to that question is there's never a time that's too late as long as you start with have a plan, and there's never too early either, right? The folks that start planning when they're in their 30s and their early 40s end up doing pretty well, right? There's also clients that come to us in their 50s and they're trying to figure it out and they do well too, even in 60s, because it's small tweaks you got to make. Because here's the deal. As a federal employee, you're winning already because you have a pension. Most people don't have a pension. Having a pension can reduce a ton of stress in retirement as long as you plan well around your debt and things like that. But tonight, what we're going to talk about, what to do in that last year. Oftentimes, folks that you even folks we're working with, they get up to the last year and they're like, all right, well, what do I need to do now? Because there's so much going through your mind. You're not quite clear on what needs to happen. And so what we have within Fed Legacy is we have a 90-day process. So what we're going to talk about tonight is that 90-day process and why we pick 90 days instead of 30 days, instead of the whole year. But 90 days is what we've come to, is what you need to do and what the number you need to have in your mind in your last year of retirement. So let's talk about Linda. Linda was 70 years old, 21 years of federal service. Now she had 21 years of federal service at 71 years old, right? But on her kitchen table, she had her pension estimate, she had her TSP statement, her old beneficiary form she hadn't looked at in years, and a notebook full of webinar notes as we're going through the Zoom call. Now, nothing was missing, but nothing was organized. She had done everything the system told her to do. She attended the briefings at the job. She downloaded the guides from us and other companies. She was able to check her TSP, and she still could not answer one question. What happens next? Over the next 30 minutes, you're going to learn exactly what to do in your last 90 days as a federal employee. What happens first? What can wait? Who owns what? And your next move, who you need to talk to. You'll see exactly how 3 federal employees did it. You'll know whether your 90 days should start now. And when I say now, here's what I mean. To start thinking about what to do now. If you're not in your 90 days, you're not starting now, but start thinking about how you should be thinking. You don't need to solve everything today. What you need to know is you need to know what happens next, though. Now, you serve 20, 30 years in the government. Now, care has never been your problem, right? You've always been able to provide. Effort is not your problem either. You show up to work, you do what you need to do. The problem is the system around you. If anybody's ever talked to an HR rep in the government or a benefits person, there's no disrespect to you if you're there. Y'all sometimes just don't have the answers. I've had benefit directors come to me and ask me because they just flat out told me they just don't know. Now, you've attended webinars, you've done calculations, you've seen HR briefings. Coworkers have retired last year and they have their opinions. But here's the deal. The system is built to give you information. It's not built to give you a plan. It hands you inputs, but it never hands you what the next step is and why based on your personal needs. And so the decisions pile up, right? What to do with your first pension, survivor benefit, things like that. What to do with your TSP, Social Security, FEGLI, taxes, healthcare. All those things are equally urgent. And that's where retirement gets delayed. No one wants to make the big mistake. It's always, I'll think about it, I'll get back to it, I'm just unsure, you start feeling unworthy, all these different things. So the question has to change. Yesterday it was, what do I need to know? What do I need to gather? Do I need to read more? Should I wait? All those different things. Today, it becomes, what do I need to do next? Decide the one move that comes first. Most people never make that switch. Let me show you someone who did. Michelle, right? When I met Michelle was at HHS. Now, we changed the name, so don't think if you know Michelle. But Michelle was at HHS. She had 34 years of federal service. She sat through every retirement briefing that her agency offered her, took notes, saved the handouts, all those different things. And since she was referred to me by a friend of hers who we helped retire earlier, and said, well, Will and the Fed Legacy team got the answers, right? That after 34 years, she believed she could not retire, literally. It was not whether or whether she could. It was like she just thought she could never, ever retire. So the first thing we did was we put her through the process. We got clear on what her goals were. We let her see her real numbers, one page at a time. We showed her what her pension would be. It was $4,800 a month. We made her go to SSA.gov and pull her Social Security income. That was around $3,000 a month. And her husband had about $1,100. Her monthly expenses were about $4,800. So let that math land. Her pension alone covered her life. Her guaranteed income was almost double what she needed before touching $1 of her TSP. 34 years of briefings, and no one had ever added up her numbers and put it all on one page and help her understand how the taxes work and things like this. And this is the deal for most federal employees. Most people work a long time because they never actually got to see what their numbers look like broken down into segments. And that's why we built our financial house. So her issue wasn't her what she knew, it was her clarity. She just didn't have clarity. She had information, but she didn't have clarity about her unique situations. And so the thing that she said to me after we broke those numbers down was, so can I retire? And I was like, absolutely, you can retire. You put in 34 years. You have a husband. He has money too. And that session took us about 30 to 40 minutes, right? And from that session, she was able to walk away and know that she could retire after all those years of breathing. So what Michelle got is the first piece of the process. 3 parts, that's all. Clarity. What is known? What is unknown? What is urgent? Sequence. Sequence is what happens first, second, third. Ownership. Who's responsible for the next move? Without clarity, you guess. Without sequence, you stall. And without ownership, nothing moves. So those are the 3 key things you want to know. You want to get clarity, you want sequence, and you want ownership. And so why 90 days? 30 days is too short to gather documents, put it into formulas. It's just too short of a time. It can be done, but it's just too much rushing, especially when you have to involve your spouse and things like that. A year is far enough away that nothing starts. And so when sometimes people come to us and they're like, well, I'll start planning a year out. It happens, but it's slower. It's not as urgent. Some numbers change over time. The closer you get, the better. 90 days is enough time to gather the right documents, see the gap, review your income picture, check your tax exposure, look at your TSP structure, review your protections, and decide the next move without panic. And again, we've been doing this now 17 years, and 90 days is a sweet spot, in my opinion. The goal is not to finish your whole plan in those 90 days, though. The goal is to get movement, order, and accountability. Now, days 1 through 30, what you want to do is you want to get clear. In that first 30 days, you want to get clear on where you want to go. Now, obviously, if you want to get clear way before then, but on that last year, you really want to get clear, okay, what's happening next? This is Michelle's phase. Her pension estimate, TSP balance and mix, social security number, real income shit that she would need, like real income, federally coverage or outside coverage, making sure her beneficiaries are right. And so you're not making decisions yet. You're just removing the fog. Again, you're retiring in a couple of months. You just want to make sure you're clear once you take over that next step, because when you retire, that biweekly check is no longer coming anymore. So you want to make sure you don't have any fog going into that space, right? And so sometimes people like Michelle, removing the fog is all you need. And that was her situation. She just needed to remove the fog because the fog was keeping her in fear and everything else fell into place. But sometimes clarity creates a new problem. Now you can see all the decisions you got to make and then you freeze. I'll call her Vernita. I'll call this client Vernita, 72 years old, 23 years of service, about 211,000 in her TSP. Vernita had clarity. She knew her numbers. Her problem was what comes next. Every decision touched every other decision, and she could feel it. She already felt like she was running up against RMDs and things like that. So she felt a lot of pressure. And so her thing was like, should I take 50,000, 30,000? Will this push me into a higher tax bracket? I know I have to pay these RMDs right now. She wasn't lazy. She was afraid of the wrong move. 33 years of careful building and one bad decision could unravel her retirement in her mind. So she did what careful people do. She waited. Clearly she waited, right? She could have retired 5 years earlier, but she waited. And that was her pattern. Here's the part nobody tells you. For Vernita, waiting was the wrong move. She was so afraid of making a mistake. The problem was, what broke her was her sequencing. A step-by-step order, which was with withdrawal, which year, which tax bracket, her income mapping was off, future RMDs would be lowered, even the down payment she wanted was not funded on purpose, not out of impulse. Her words, I understand it now. I get it now after we went through a sequencing plan. Fear doesn't survive sequence. Days 31 through 60 put decisions in order. What income starts first? When Social Security enters the picture? What role your TSP plays? What tax decisions get reviewed before your retirement date, not after? Which decisions affects the next one? Sequence matters because retirement decisions stack. The wrong order creates pressure you could have avoided. Days 61 through 90, you assign the next move. But by day 90, you know what needs an advisor review and what doesn't. What needs CPA review and what doesn't. And here's the thing. When you're retiring, especially if you're retiring with over 200,000-300,000 in your TSP, the person who did your taxes when you were working and just spitting out tax returns, you're getting refunds and things like that. That person you cannot use no more. Like now you have to start using. It will be advised to really use a tax professional, because as your TSP continues to grow, your traditional IRA continues to grow, you start having to do RMDs. You're really going to want somebody in there to help you reduce that tax exposure, because it's a difference between saving hundreds of thousands of dollars. You are no longer getting refunds anymore once you retire. Now you have to protect that money from the IRS. All those years of deferred income with your TSP, because all the money you put in your TSP reduces your taxes. That party's over now, and the bill is coming due. So now what you want to do is you want to make sure you have somebody that understands that and can help and support you in that process. Super, super important. So you want to make sure when it comes to tax writers, you have a CPA or somebody of that caliber to review your needs. And so the next part is just, you want to make sure you have a competent HR professional to make sure they're pushing your paperwork through the door. You want to have these real conversations also with your spouse, if you have one, right? What documents are still missing, and what decision that cannot wait. One of those examples of that is like survivor benefit. Are you going to do it or are you not? Super important thing to have, because it affects your health insurance later on down the line. It could affect how your spouse leaves not yours, but your spouse's health insurance, I should say, later on down the line. It could affect your income, right? Because if you're taking down too much income, it could be problematic. You maybe want to go out and get a life insurance policy to bridge that gap. There's a whole lot of things you want to talk with your spouse about. You want to talk to them about Social Security income, like what yours is versus what theirs is, because whoever's is higher, the first person to pass, they will go to the higher Social Security. So all those type of things. Do you want to pay off your house now or not? Having those conversations are super, super important, so that you're not guessing or trying to fix this in retirement when it's just too late, right? And so you want to make sure you have those hard conversations as early as you possibly can, but definitely in that last 90 days, because it just makes it harder to make adjustments once you are retired, right? And so you want to know what documents are still missing, what decisions that can wait. Every item gets an owner, because a plan without ownership is just another folder on the desk. It's just something that you do to next week. It's just something that you'll do. I was talking to a lady yesterday. I was driving, and she was trying to find her paper. She's retired. We hadn't talked in like 2 years, and she called me up, and she's close. And she just, she was rambling because she just didn't have her documents in order, and she took the DRP. I didn't know, but she took the DRP, and she was just like, I'm paying $1,800 a month for my life insurance my health insurance, because I took this certain plan, and she was trying to find it, and it was just her information was all over the place. But again, you want to have your documents. Now, I don't know if she's really paying $1,800. I'm still waiting for her to call me back, but she thinks she is. It's stressing her out, but scattered, right? And this is an example of what I mean by not having your documents in order, right? And if she would have met with me and us before, no knock on her, but we would have made sure she made those decisions in the correct way. A plan without ownership becomes just a path. Like, you got to own your decisions. So let me bring you back to Linda. So Linda's kitchen table again. She's 70 years old, $237,000 that had been sitting all in her G fund for years, barely growing, while her cost of living did not sit still. Healthcare costs have gone up for her. Cost of groceries gone up. Cost of travel to see her grandkids has gone up. RMD's coming at 73. Whether she was ready or not, it didn't matter. Survivor elections, she had assumed but didn't verify. Nothing was missing again, but nothing was organized. Nothing was organized. Now, 90 days later, 150,000 rolled over and initiated into an IRA in the protected bucket. Finally got a job. We've made sure her beneficiaries were set deliberately. And when I say finally got a job, I'm meaning we put the money to work, not her going back and get a job. But then we made sure her beneficiaries were updated deliberately. We helped her set up that trust. None of this stuff is by default. We were very intentional. Her survivor income, we figured out that she needed to do that for her husband. Again, same kitchen table that she was meeting with us at over Zoom, by the way. But now things were organized in a way that she could see the finish line. Super, super important, right? She could see the finish line now, because we took those papers all the information was there, but we organized it in a way that was unique to her to get her on the right plan, on the right path. Because again, our mission always is to make sure you're retiring on time and with confidence. And that's what we really do in that 90-day window. Now, and when we do it, we make sure every step has an owner, right? And so, what she told us after this was done? She was just like, I'm getting myself together, and I don't want any surprises. And I super appreciate you all for working with me through this process, because without y'all, I wouldn't be able to do it. Now, she probably could have done it without us, without the only ones to do it, but it was good to hear that. But it just reminded us again why having a process is super, super important. So after 21 years of service, that's not too much to ask, right? To have a plan and making sure it works. But we had to earn it. And so a real plan runs through checkpoints. Week 1, week and 2, documents. 3 and 4, income picture. 5 and 6, TSP, taxes and risks. 7 and 8, protection and legacy. 9 and 10, recommendations. 11 and 12, commit to the next step. Got to be committed to the next step to making sure your plans work. So again, I'm William Smith, been doing this now 17 years, 18 years actually as of April. One thing I love to help federal employees do is just remove confusion from your federal benefits so you can retire on time and with confidence. That's been our mantra from day one. Because one of the things we noticed was a lot of folks were retiring a lot later than they should. And even when they did, they were regretting it. They were not sure. But it's like, look, on time, when you need to, so you can enjoy your life and with confidence, and making sure your steps are in the right order. So the first step, you'd love to offer y'all a call, on our discovery call. We call it our Fed Legacy Discovery Call, because what we like to do is like to get to know where you are in the process and help you in 5 key areas, making sure you understand your income plan, making sure you understand your investment plan, making sure you understand your tax strategy, making sure you understand your legacy, and making sure you understand your long-term care health. If you have all 5 of those, you're in good shape. Most people don't. Even one can derail you for retirement. And so you want to book a discovery call with us. We'll get you on the call with one of our specialists. Then our specialist will then get you to the proper advisor that'll be able to take you where you need to go down your pathway to your TSP finish line process, so you can retire on time and with confidence as a federal employee, because you deserve it, right? You deserve it. Just like Linda deserved it, just like Bernita deserved it, and just like Michelle deserved it. You deserve it, right? You've worked a long time. You show up to work. You invest in your TSP as much as you can, and you do your best. It's not, and it's not your job to be a retirement specialist, right? And so that's what we're here to do. We're here to support you. Just let us know if you need any help. Just book a discovery call, and we'll make sure we take care of you.